The NFL like to talk about progress, but moments like this expose a deeper truth. Mike Tomlin's departure is not just the end of a coaching era in Pittsburgh. It is a reminder of how rare long-term trust in black leadership still is in the league. Nearly 2 decades of consistency, a Super Bowl title, and zero losing season should represent the standard, not the exception. Yet, as the league enters another hiring cycle with fewer black head coaches than before, the question is no longer about talent, it is about opportunity, patience, and whether the NFL is truly rolling to align its leadership with the player who define the game every Sunday.
The NFL likes to see itself as a progressive league, a meritocracy where excellence eventually rises no matter where it comes from. But moments like this one expose the gap between that ideal and the reality on the sidelines. With Mike Tomlin's departure from Pittsburgh, the league is not just losing a coach, it is losing a symbol of what long-term trust in a black leader can look like in an industry that rarely offers it. Tomlin's exit forces the NFL to confront, once again, a question it has never fully answered. Why does leadership at the highest level remain so inaccessible to the very people who define the game on the field? Tomlin's tenure was remarkable not only because of its length, but because of its rarity. Nearly 2 decades with one franchise, 0 losing seasons, a Super Bowl title, and consistent playoff contention should have made him an outlier only in success, not in representation. Instead, he became the last standing pillar of an era that never truly arrived. When the 2025 season began, 5 black head coaches represented progress that already felt fragile. Now that number has dwindled to 3 in a league of 32 teams, where black players make up the majority of the workforce and increasingly dominate the most visible positions on the field. The contrast is impossible to ignore. Every Sunday, fans watch black quarterbacks command offenses, black receivers reshape spacing, black defenders dictate game plans. The intellectual demands of modern football are fully on display at every position group. Yet when teams search for leadership, creativity, and fit, the funnel narrows in ways that feel disconnected from the product itself. 10 teams conducted head coaching searches this offseason, and none selected a black candidate. That outcome alone undermines years of messaging about intentional change. The Rooney Rule still exists, but it has become more procedural than transformative. Interviews are granted, boxes are checked, and decisions often feel preordained. The problem is no longer access to the room, it is access to belief. Ownership groups appear willing to consider black coaches, but less willing to commit to them when patience, risk, and long-term vision are required. Tomlin's career illustrated what happens when that commitment exists. His departure now raises a more uncomfortable question: how many others never received the same runway? The league's official response remains familiar. Promises of evaluation, recommitment, and structural reassessment follow every disappointing hiring cycle. Commissioner Roger Goodell's comments about reviewing accelerator programs and adapting policies reflect acknowledgement, but acknowledgement without measurable outcomes has become part of the pattern. For players, coaches, and fans who have watched this cycle repeat, words no longer carry the weight they once did. What makes this moment especially critical is timing. A new generation of black coordinators and assistants is emerging, many of them steeped in analytics, player development, and modern scheme design. These are not coaches asking to be taught leadership. They are already leading rooms, calling plays, and shaping identities. Yet the pipeline continues to narrow at the final step, where ownership, perception, and comfort often override demonstrated competence. From a competitive standpoint, this stagnation is short-sighted. The NFL is evolving rapidly, both strategically and culturally. Teams that fail to broaden their leadership perspective risk falling behind in player relations, locker room trust, and adaptability. Younger players are more vocal, more aware, and more invested in authenticity. A coaching staff that reflects and understands that reality is no longer a social luxury, it is a competitive advantage. Recruiting implications ripple outwards as well. College prospects watch the league closely, not just for scheme fits and contracts, but for signals about opportunity and respect. When leadership diversity stalls at the top, it sends a subtle message about ceilings rather than possibilities. Over time, that perception shapes trust, engagement, and the league's ability to position itself as genuinely inclusive rather than performatively so. Fans feel this tension too. For many, Tomlin represented stability, authority, and earned respect in a league that often treats coaches of color as interchangeable or expendable. His presence on the sideline was a reminder that excellence, when supported, sustains itself. His absence leaves a void that statistics alone cannot explain. It challenges fans to ask whether the league they love is truly aligned with the values it promotes. Looking ahead, the question is not whether the NFL will continue to talk about diversity, but whether it will finally redefine how it measures leadership potential. Progress will not come from more interviews alone. It will come from ownership groups willing to invest time, weather early struggles, and resist the urge to recycle familiar profiles at the expense of new perspectives. It will come from accountability that extends beyond press releases and into outcomes. Mike Tomlin's exit closes a chapter that should have inspired many others to follow. Instead, it exposes how singular his journey still was. The NFL now stands at another crossroads, one it has encountered before, but never fully embraced. The talent is present, the evidence is overwhelming. What remains uncertain is whether the league is ready to match its words with the courage required to change. If history is any guide, this moment will either become another missed opportunity or the turning point it has long promised to be. The difference will not be found in policy language or public statements, but in the next set of decisions made behind closed doors. Until those decisions change, the league will continue to wrestle with a problem that no amount of talent on the field can solve on its own.